Denise.
Hi, it's Elsa. Welcome to
Forever 30s. Today our topic is...
What would you tell your young self?
What would you tell your younger self?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about that before?
Not too much, to be honest. I've gone that far where I'm like, what would I tell myself? And then I don't.
No, never mind.
Since I can't really go back there and tell her, I'm not going to waste my time. But what I probably think about more is like, what would I tell my daughter?
That's what I kind of see it like.
Mm-hmm.
I think como que uno no te duelen tanto las cosas and you're like, pues así me fue la vida, whatever I learned, whatever. But you say it to your daughter.
Sí, definitely.
Have you, I don't know if I asked you this before, but have you written a letter to your inner child?
I have not. We were supposed to do that ages ago and we haven't gone to it.
It took me a while because I was like, I'm sorry, hold on, I'm not ready. You see a picture or you imagine yourself of like when you wanted to hear certain things the most, and you say it in the letter. Y pone que no, it's not so much advice, but it's more just the thoughts or like what you wanted to hear at that age. Pero también se me hace muy bonito. You haven't done that one.
I haven't.
I liked it.
I've been avoiding it.
And we won't.
I avoid a lot of things.
Dijo Luis, my conversation. Every time he says something and I don't like pay attention, he's like, my conversation. And Mere starts laughing because he's like, oh, sí, sabe, en el trabajo pasó esto, el otro. And I'm like, ¿vas a querer salsa? He's like, my conversation. I'm like, it's fucking boring, no one cares. Moving on. Pero es like, ay, pobrecito. There's only room for one, Luis. It's my conversation.
¿Tiene hermanos? So if I could tell my young self one thing, would be to appreciate time. I don't think that I was in a rush to grow up, but I also think that I had my life in my mind so planned out that I didn't take the time to enjoy certain stages like my youth that I still have. I'm just kidding.
That we're still in.
Well, now that I work the games at ASU and like I have a blast.
I don't know where this was going. Now that I work the games, I was like, whoa.
No, like I think about when I went to college, I was just so focused that I didn't take the time to be a college student and part of going on trips with my friends, going to the games, because I was just thinking of the future, thinking ahead. And in a way, I'm grateful that I did that because I got to do the things that I really wanted to do. But I do hope that Natalia gets to experience the moment she's in a lot more than I did.
I truly think that it's like, you know how they tell you with kids that the time goes by flying fast, and then they really do start growing up and you're like, what the heck, like, it was no lo entiendes because you're not going through it until they tell you, and you're like, I can't get enough. I told Beta the same thing, and I was like, high school's gonna be your best 4 years. That's when you guys start getting jobs. And she's like, I'm in no rush, but hopefully. That's when, she's like, I told her, I was like, that's when you and your friends start getting jobs. You get little extra money. You guys can go out places.
That's freedoms.
That's probably when you start, like, having, like, talking to boys. Muchas cosas, le dije. It can be the best or it can be the worst, depending on your decisions. Pero le dije, Ariana, se va así de rápido. Así de rápido. Le dije, no entiendes, and I'm telling you, soak it all in. Do everything that you can. And when this school year ended, se puso bien triste, like a punto de llorar. And she's like, I don't get how I'm going to be a junior. I was like, I told you. But you still are just halfway there. I know it sounds crazy, like, but you're still, todavía te queda la otra mitad. So make the best of it. Anything that you can do that, just get out of your shells. Like, some of your lifelong friends are going to be from high school. I think no one really realizes it until you're in it or you're past it.
Yes.
And I also think, like, our family, if they went to college, they have a different mentality. So they wouldn't be like, oh my God, go on trips. It would have been a whole different thing. So you also didn't have anybody that probably told you that.
It was always about working hard. You got something to do, never waste time. Very much so, like, don't take summers off. Go to summer school. Get ahead, blah, 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 blah. Where with Natalia, obviously, I do grind her to work, but I also try to be more like, okay, she needs to have fun. And I think another thing I would tell my younger self is to be patient with myself because I'm gonna fuck up. And I think that I was so like about, no, I don't want to make mistakes. I want to get it right the first time. And it's just so unrealistic. in every aspect of life. You're gonna mess up here and there. Give yourself grace.
That's true. You know how they always say, don't let things get to you. That's easier said than done. I think if I could be more specific, I would tell myself, don't take personal other people's opinions, porque muchas las veces te dicen cosas and it's out of their own fears, out of their own criticism, things that they don't like about themselves, que te lo dicen a ti, that if you just like see that point of view versus it being just like, don't take things personal. It's hard not to take things personal when someone's saying something that's like your friend or X or a boy that you like. But if you kind of see like, okay, it's probably because they feel that way. It's probably because they have their own issues and they're just like reflecting it on me or their own fears. And even like adults, like I feel like growing up, siempre te decían cosas and I don't know why it's like so okay for everybody to like decirte cosas como no comas mucho porque te vas a poner gorda o esto. And that's your fear. They think that like their own fears te los daban a ti.
They're projecting.
And example, like even like my parents, like they think my dad, for example, I can say this. When I got the house, he was very like, no, ahorita no es el tiempo, están bien caras. The house was 170, I think, 171. Están bien caras. Blah, 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 nosotros la agarramos bien a tiempo, van a bajar. And it's, when I got it, he's like, no, ¿qué vas a hacer con este pago? It's so expensive. How are you going to make it? And it's like, you really thought you just made a good move. And then you're like, shoot, I regret this move 100%. And I'm like, I shouldn't have. It's $170,000. When are you going to pay that off? It's over $450,000 right now. So had I waited... And I get it's his own fear, but had I learned to not take those things personal at a younger age, I feel it would have saved me so much more heartaches, headaches, corajes, that it's their fears. Like that's on them. Es como cuando te dicen, que te dicen, ay, qué fea estás porque estás bien X, Y, Z, and you're like, what the heck? Like, and they're the same way.
But it's just so hard to teach. At least I struggle with that with Natalia, where I tell her, no te tomes a pecho lo que te dice la gente, or understand where they're coming from. If they say it in a they have good intentions, but they're saying it wrong, or do they have bad intentions? And I feel like I struggle for her to discern between the two, because sometimes she'll react and I'm like, well, this person's just trying to be nice, and then she's like, or
do you think
she's
it's
too
the
nice.
age?
I think so.
Porque
obviously the life experience.
We've had those talks when it's usually been like if like a boy and she's like, he just started acting weird. Like if she had a friend that wanted to be more than friends, and it is like, I just like you as a friend and blah blah blah, but she's like, que todavía fluyera y friendship y no quiere perder esa amistad. Then they started acting weird, and then I guess he blocked her, and then I'm like, listen, he se hizo cortante, and then all of a sudden he came back and he's like, hey baby, I'm sorry. And I'm like, listen, it's his own feelings. This is what's like he's probably going through, or he wasn't taught. Like le dije, mira all the guys that people are dating, they're still not like emotionally intelligent. ¿Qué vas a creer a alguien de que está en high school? Que no entiende que all he feels that he was shut down and he feels hurt, so all these things. So ella como que se me hace que comprende más, but I think it's also the whole age, because as a 10, Natalia is 10, no? It's harder to like...
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do wish at least it was said to me, because I think you're just growing up and you trust what adults tell you. And in your brain, you're wired that like everything que te dicen es verdad, and you trust it until you're an adult. You're still trusting it and you're believing it. And so you're like, no, that's your fears. Me dijo recently, a family member told me for something that I'm happy about. And they're like, yeah, when you're over your crisis, then X, Y, and Z we can go over. I don't know what the conversation is. Like, what do you mean crisis? And it was about some good news that I have that I'm happy for. And I think me 5 years ago would have taken that personal. It's like, that for me is no es una crisis. For me, it's something happy. It's una bendición. But in your eyes, because things didn't go well for you, because you didn't enjoy it, because you didn't like it, because it was a rough time for you, you're projecting that onto me. But for me, no lo veo. Es como yo decirte, like, ay, sí, ya cuando ya Natalia esté grande, que es que hueva tener ahorita Natalia. It's like, you don't identify, but now I can, like, but I do wish at least I was exposed to that before. Someone who could have told me.
Yeah. I think in that, even, like, just because that's not for me, whatever this person's going through, just because that's not for me, I wouldn't like it, I wouldn't enjoy it, it doesn't mean I can't be happy for someone else who's going through it, because that's what you enjoy. Like,
it'd be easier to, like, grow as a person if we didn't have family, huh?
I think that I would also tell myself that it's okay if what I want and like, it's different from what others want or what my parents expect from me. Because I think that growing up, I had such a hard time. God, I don't want to cry. Because the life that I wanted and the life that I have is 1,000% not the life that my parents want for me or have ever wanted for me. What I find happiness in is something my parents don't understand, and still to this day, even though they're more understanding, they still try to convince me that this is not happiness. Like, my dad will tell me, like, humans, we thrive off of being with someone else. You can't just want to be alone forever, or like having more kids, or obviously the whole faith thing, things that my dad just believes these are the right things, and he hopes that one day I'll be in it. I had to learn to, this is what I want and I feel strongly about it, and I'm gonna back it up and keep pushing it, keep moving it, keep being happy, as opposed to when I was younger, I did a lot of the things that because it was what my mom and dad wanted, because it's what they liked. And I got to a point where I was just unhappy and I wasn't fulfilled. And I try to emphasize that in Natalia, where there may be things I don't agree with, there may be things I don't want or I don't like, but I'm going to be as supportive as I possibly can, because all I want is to see you be happy. And I say that to my mom and dad all the time. Happiness looks different to everyone. I wish you could be happy for me, that I feel happy, even if you don't understand.
And that's like 100% true. And especially with like our parents that grew up, that what's right is to be married, to not be pregnant before marriage, to live this life de que no te divorces, que no te dejas, you have to be a Catholic, it's the one type of
bien portada, reservada.
So 100% I would say that to myself. I do think I tried to put myself in their shoes so I can try to understand, and I do that with every like situation. Do you really think it'd be easy for you, or not easy, but do you really think you'll get to that point if Natalia says, I want to be a sister wife?
It would be very hard for me. I like to say, okay, ahorita porque eres niña, you're mine, you do what I say. And when you're an adult, you do what you want. That's what I say today. But when she becomes an adult and she chooses something that maybe in my eyes is hurting her, I do think I'm going to have a very hard time letting her do her thing without estarle diciendo, mija. And mind you, my dad's very respectful about it, where he's not like annoying me all the time, but he'll throw in his little, ya fuiste a confesarte. Like, he told me the other day, there's a big San Antonio conference, and he's like, I'll pay for everything. It's a whole weekend. I'll pay for the flight, I'll pay for the hotel, you can go have a good time.
El retiro.
He's like, and during the day vas a retiro. And I was like, I can't. It's like the one day like I can't. And things like that I'm like, okay, what if Natalia came and said, I want to be a homemaker, I don't want to like have a job, I want to have 1,000 kids, or like something that I don't find happiness in, for me to not relate, but to be happy for her, I will try my best, but I do think it would be difficult. But I think I wouldn't be after her the way that maybe my mom and dad, because te digo, mi papá very respectful, but my mom's very like.
But I think you're giving an example of something that isn't wrong. It's just something you don't relate to. Yes. Our parents see
our choices
our
were wrong.
things are wrong. So let's say Natalia says, yeah, he beats me, but like,
but I like it.
Yeah, but I'm okay with it because XYZ. He's a sweet man. He's rich. Whatever.
Yeah, ándale.
So that, in our eyes, I think we both say is wrong. So if she's okay with it,
but I think that there's limits. There's boundaries. Like once you're being physically or mentally hurt,
in a cult.
Well, yeah, you're being mentally abused. That's different.
If she doesn't agree with that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
I get what you're saying, and that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna try. If she tells me she's gonna go to this TikTok dancer cult, and I know she loves to dance, but it's a cult, like I'm gonna have a hard time with it, and I don't know.
I think es que
son tus hijos y todo, I get it.
Sí, y yo eso sí lo veo de parte de nuestros papás. They thought they were doing well because they wanted the best for us. But after a certain extent, once we're an adult, and I don't mean by 18, because at 18 you might not, like, your frontal lobe isn't even fully developed. But what I mean is, like, ya nada que tú sabes, like, this is what she wants, respétalo. Sí. They don't back off, and that they still want us to live a life for them. En veces sí me da corajito.
It feels like nothing you do is good enough, at least for me.
And I'm not over here telling you what to do.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you deshazte de esto, or aléjate de esto, or stop doing that. Like, you're able to live your life. Yeah, I think that's a really good advice.
Just keep pushing it.
Even if it doesn't align with what your parents would want, your parents got to live their life. Y lo único que puede hacer uno guiar a los hijos, darles all the consejos, but then they get to do it's their life. And I would hate for my kids, for me to die hopefully really old. But like
forever 30.
Yeah.
Forever.
Hopefully die really old, and for them to like look at their life and say, gosh, like viví siempre para hacer a mis papás feliz o a mi mamá feliz, no la hice feliz, se murió. Y ahora ya no puedo hacer lo que yo quise. Y creo que para todo hay tiempo, pero hay ciertas cosas que de veras no, la salud no te deja o tales cosas. I do know somebody who I feel has always just done what, in particular, their mom wants, and has obeyed it. And I've seen how it hasn't done good. It hasn't. Y yo lo veo, and I'm like, that makes me learn for Bere to like give her a little freedom, space, let her make her own choices, and sometimes those choices are gonna hurt her. Pero es para que aprendas, not in a mean way, like, ay, ahógate, I'm gonna be here, pero tú solas tus decisiones, haz que viva su vida, because if I'm gonna want her to live my way, it's only going one route.
Sí.
Like,
and you know what's so crazy? The person who had that conversation with me was my dad, and I don't think he thought it was going to lead to who I am today, but he had a conversation with me when I got out of college where I was just like, I got to start working hard because I got to retire my parents, and I got to do this and I got to do that, and what if there's an accident, then I got to have enough money to bury both of my brothers, and my dad's like, whoa, like the whole family is not your responsibility. Like, your responsibility is you, and you have to make yourself happy. You're an adult now, and he like put it in perspective of like, go live life, go be happy. Y siempre me decía, es diferente la libertad y el libertinaje, Daniela. Y yo, but that was the conversation that I try to have with Natalia, where I tell her, it's okay to do things that you know maybe I don't love, but it makes you happy as long as you're safe. Because life's going to look so different. I really think she is going to pick a very different life than what I try not to imagine her life, because I think it's going to just obviously be something so different.
I think the reason I would tell this to myself is because I kind of see it with Bere a little bit more than I ever saw it with me. But I would tell my younger self to release anger and not be so like revengeful. And stay more soft in my heart. I see that with Bere sometimes, because I'm like, no te dejes, o dile XYZ a fulano, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, it's okay. It's that their person's loss, or I don't have to like get to their knee. And I'm just like, yo sé que it's my probably build up. That's how I am now, but that's probably like because of a whole bunch of time of build up. But I admire that from her that I wish I still had. But I do think it's because we grew up totally different.
Sí.
de todos modos, I wish I could have tried at least to dejar. I've always been very revengeful. Very. For the smallest things. Me dice Luis, you're so petty. Like, if it's something so small, I'm like, okay, I'm going to remember that. Se me olvida todo, but not the things I need to get revenge on. And I, like, soy bien vengativa. And I wish I wasn't, because I feel like that's, you're just carrying, like, some dark stuff. To. Yeah, it's just, es una carga que no necesitas. So I wish someone was, like, taught me how to practice letting go more. Letting my anger go. And it just built up.
Te hiciste dura. I feel like me too.
Bien dura.
and I actively try not to make Natalia dura. I tried to be extra loving with her because I don't want her to be así como yo dura and like, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to like. La Laura me dijo, cuando alguien te diga algo bonito tienes que decir, what are you gonna say? I'm like, thank you, I appreciate it. And she's like, okay. So now every time someone says something nice to me, whether I feel it or not, I'm like, thank you, I appreciate it. Even if I want to be like, why you say that to me?
Really?
I can't.
Because
especially when my mom says something nice to me, I just like change the conversation.
Have you told her thank you, I appreciate it?
No.
Are you gonna try?
Maybe.
Why is it? Because, okay, I get if it was from your parents, because if your parents didn't give you that, but why is it from everybody else?
I don't know. Maybe I don't believe it. Como cuando tú me dices, oh, que tus piernas. I'm like, no way. Somebody looks at my legs and they're like, oh, yeah.
So, if someone were to say right now, que bonitas piernas, you'll say thank you, I appreciate it, or you're like, just whatever, and change combo.
It depends on the person. Like, if I feel like the person genuinely feels that way, even though I don't agree, I'd be like, well, thank you. You know? But if it's someone that I'm just like, I don't know, are you making fun of me?
Because you're like, there's someone's giving you a compliment, someone's making fun of you, they're not going to say that.
Well, I feel like because my mom always did backhanded compliments or things that were being sarcastic. I don't know, my eye is twitching with this conversation.
So can we move on? My body
literally...
Stop
talking about my body.
My body is literally, like, ¿cómo se dice? Como rechazándolo.
Así de que estoy tratando de forzarlo and, like, no me sale.
I guess, yeah, it's like, if someone was being mean, they're like, oh, I can see what you're saying. When, like, qué bonito vestido. Okay. Yeah, they all are like that family.
Oh, wow, esas piernas.
Ay, qué bonito vestido. Le miraste el vestido. Yeah, instead of just shutting up and judging.
That's such a culture thing, though. It's so toxic. I hate it.
In my next life, I'm not going to be Mexican. I love it, but it's the family. And then once you're like with them, neta que, you're just like, quieres pelearte con todos. And I'm like, why are you guys so...
You're like in that mood of like, I mean, like on guard. That's what I tell my dad, because he's like, cuando me habla por teléfono, and like, he's like, ¿por qué me contestas así? He's like, ¿por qué me contestas ya like lista para pelear? And I'm like, cause that's just how I feel like that's why we talk and we argue. And he's like, no te estoy hablando para pelear, like, blah, blah. And I notice it a lot, specifically with my mom and dad, because a mis hermanos no les contesto así.
Y es también, tú también cuando sabes que la conversación va a ir a donde they don't agree or something's going to be said.
Here we go.
And sometimes things are not said, but I'm like, I know you're thinking it. Sí. And it's like, but next time. So it's like, sometimes you just want to get it over with to like fight and be done.
If I could give my younger self advice, is to never fall in love.
Would you really?
No, I'm just kidding, because I have my baby.
If you weren't in love when you had Natalia, you would still give that advice?
If I wasn't in love?
Yeah. Like, let's say you just had a one-night stand with baby daddy.
I would have had her, I never fell in love. Yeah, I would be like, don't fall in love. I'd be like, go to IVF and stuff, or whatever it's called, and get a sperm donor and not actually have a child with someone. I know someone that did that, and she lives very happy.
I would tell my younger self to love myself more than I love others. Y especially when you're young, because no tienes hijos, no tienes todo eso. But love myself more than I love other people. And love myself mentally, in the way that I mean, like, think that when you like you problem solve something, it was just like, oh, pues me la averigüé. But no, it's like, be proud of yourself. You did that. You did this. And physically, this is my body. I don't have another body. This is what I have, and I should love it. And I think sometimes instead of thinking I was the prize, I thought other people were the prize, but they were not the prize. They were like bottom of the barrel trash. And I just wanted to make them happy. Yeah. I wanted to put them first. It was all about them. That I didn't think I was
or deserve
even
better.
Yeah, I didn't even think we were in the same playing field, when al contrario, like now that I'm like, oh. So if I would have seen myself as the prize, if I would have loved myself, I think things would have been a lot more different. And I tell that to Betty. I'm like, remember, you're the prize. Remember, you're the prize. And she has this little friend, and she has like a piece of shit boyfriend, right? And she's like, Betty's like, I don't get it. Remember I told you that? She was like, me da asco, se están besando. Did I tell you? Mm-mm. She's like, Mami, me da un asco. She's like, they tongue kiss. And I was like, oh. Bitch, I was pregnant when I was your age. Pero she's like, I just don't get it, why she's with him. Like, and I'm like, remember, she thinks he's the prize. She's happy to have him. She thinks people want him, so he's the prize. So I was like, that's two different mentalities. If you keep thinking that you're the prize, you're like, I don't deserve that.
People say, I can tell how much you love yourself by the person that...
You know what? And that makes me so frustrated, because I have a friend that I think she is the most beautiful thing on earth. Está hermosa, dude. Un corazón súper bueno. Lo que se entiende...
Ya no estás hablando de mí.
No es enojona, no te creas. No te creas. Súper luchadora. Just such a well-rounded girl that I'm just like in awe. And I think she deserves the world, and she has a guy that doesn't deserve her. And it frustrates me, because I saw that and I'm like, does she think she doesn't deserve more? Because yo cuando la veo ella, I'm like, neta, I'm like, ¿qué haría yo en esta vida si yo fuera ella? If I looked like her. If I had her, like, no sé, she's just like, God spent extra. She's so good. And I'm just like, you deserve everything and more. So I wish...
Crazy how we don't see ourselves the way that other people see us.
I told her that one time. I was like, I wished you saw yourself with my eyes. Like, you don't get it. I'm like, you don't get it.
That was good. It got a little deeper than I thought.
I didn't want it to be so deep. But I think since we can't tell that to our younger selves, well, you can do it to your inner child. But since we can't go back in time, gracias a Dios tenemos hijas y podemos cambiar eso con ellas.
Sí. Yeah, or friends too, like cousins, friends that we love, and that maybe we want to be like, hey, I've been through that, and I wish somebody would have told me this, or I wish I would have heard it this way, or I would have this or that.
I like it. That's
Thank
a good
you.
time. Thank you.
Bye.